Love lives here.
Well, hi. So, what is your favorite kind of pie? Sweet potato, apple, cherry. Yes, berry, trash pie, Texas trash. That was a good pie. Pecan pie, pumpkin pie, peach, cobbler, blueberry, chicken pot pie. All right. Rhubarb, strawberry, chocolate, coconut, custard, manberry? Oh, banana and strawberry. Thought she said manberry. I'm just like, okay. That's for a different time of day. All right. So clearly we like pie. Yes, we love pie. The only problem with pie is that pie is finite. No matter how much you slice it, it just gets into smaller pieces, but eventually the pie is going to be gone, isn't it? Yep. Pie's gone. Aren't you glad the universe is not like pie? Yes. I don't know how enthusiastic that was, Hanja. It doesn't sound like people believe that the universe is not like pie. It was a deep. Yeah, okay. The universe, FYI, is not like pie, okay? In case you were wondering, the universe is not like pie. The universe is not finite. The universe is infinite and abundant and glorious and radiant. It is forever expanding and forever expressing itself, unlike pie, which is just yummy and delicious, but it's limited, right? You can always go buy more pie, right? But if we just have one piece of, or one pie here, sorry, but y'all ain't gonna get some, right? There's only so much pie that is available in the room if we had pie, right? But the universe isn't like that, is it? The universe is just forever giving and giving and giving itself. The only limitation we have in the universe is our own beliefs. The only limitation we have in the universe that limits our abundance, that limits our good, that limits our ability to receive is our limited thinking, is our limitations. It's our own limitations. So that is where we experience limitation, is through our own beliefs, through our own thoughts. And I know some of you are going, yeah, but have you seen my bank account, Jeff? Yeah, but what about oil, right? And fossil fuels? Aren't those like limited resources, limited supply? Yeah, fossil fuels might be limited. It might be a limited resource, a limited natural resource. But you know what is not limited? Energy. Energy is not limited, right? We have the capability, through our consciousness, through our creativity, through our curiosity, we have the ability and the capability, and perhaps even the responsibility to look for other ways of harnessing, using energy to move and to activate and to be free of a limited resource of fossil fuels, right? So thinking about sunshine. Sunshine's unlimited, isn't it? Well, not today, maybe. I mean, there's clouds, right? But sunshine's unlimited. Sun's unlimited. It's always windy, isn't it? Wind's always blowing somewhere, especially here in the IE, right? Or in the inland valleys, especially when we have Santa Ana winds. Woo, the wind's blowing, right? So there's always wind, right? The ocean has tides, right? So the ocean's always in movement. So all these things are in movement. These are all possibilities of energy and being able to harness our energy. The thing is, though, is that we have become so limited in our thinking that we think that it has to be fossil fuels, right? But it doesn't have to be fossil fuels, does it? Does it, Jeannie? No. Right? Our Green Faith team, Jeannie and Mike. Yes. It doesn't have to be that way. There's an infinite possibility, an infinite curiosity that we can harness into that we can then use. It's just that we've chosen not to do that up until now. We've chosen a different path up until now. But we have the ability to change the way we're moving, change the way we're expanding. So we are about halfway through our series of New Roots. And what the New Roots series is we are looking at our 10 core concepts here at Centers for Spiritual Living, and we are going through them one by one, and we are looking at them in new ways, and especially in ways that are applicable to us, right? So what I want to focus on, and when we were creating this series of New Roots, is really focusing on and honing in on our self-application. So we are going to focus in on self-application. We're going to continue to focus in on self-application right now. There are lots of yeah buts where you could tell me that we live in a limited universe, right? But we're not going to focus on that today. We're going to focus on what we can control. And what can we control? Ourselves, right? Ourselves, our thinking, right? So this is how we are going to focus our energy and how we're going to focus our time. There will be plenty of time, I guarantee, as we move through the year, that we are going to focus and we are going to expand our focus to include society, to include our larger community, and to include the world and how things are working. Because it's easy to see outside how things are working. But outside, how things are working is a reflection of what's happening inside. And what's happening inside, we have the ability to take responsibility for what's happening on the inside. If we don't clean up our little corner of the neighborhood, we can go out and do trash pickup all we want to. We can go out there and sweep the streets. We can go out there and collect, have trash collectors and recycle and do all this kind of stuff. But if we haven't taken care of our little plot of land, our little doorstep, it's not doing anything, right? We got to take care of what we're doing first. Because then when we take care of what we're doing first, then it makes it easier for others to join us in what we're doing, right? And we get to clean up our own mess first, our own thing first, okay? So our own mess, you're sitting in your body. Welcome, you beautiful mess. Your beautiful, whole, perfect mess. Isn't it great? Isn't it great? Sure. It's something, all right, right? Embrace the mess. Embrace the mess. Not only embrace the mess, Jeff, but we've got to accept the mess. Because we can only receive, we are only capable of receiving what we are capable of accepting. There is plenty to go around, my beloveds. There is plenty of good to go around. The only thing that is inhibiting us from receiving that good is our belief and our lack of acceptance that there is enough good to go around or that there is plenty of good to go around. It's just our belief. It's just our lack of acceptance. And that lack of acceptance comes from our lack of self-worth. So let's back up and say as much as you can conceive and embody is as much as you will receive. As much as you can conceive, believe, then you can achieve is another way of saying that. But as much as you can conceive and embody, that is what is available to us. As much as we can conceive and embody. So let's think back for a minute. Remember our little story about Miss Bacall getting mad at you because, you pushed Billy back. She didn't see Billy push you, but you pushed Billy back, and that's what she saw. So then you adopted this idea of being unfair. Life is unfair. And we talked about different ways of how that unfairness could manifest itself in combination with other experiences you've experienced in your life. Well, today, one of the ways that unfairness might have shown up or might be showing up for you is that, you know what, that was really unfair. So you know what, I'm going to get mine. I'm going to make sure that that doesn't happen again. I'm going to control everything. I'm going to get mine before anybody else gets theirs. I am going to make sure that I get everything that I am owed, everything that I'm entitled to, everything that is my fair share. I'm going to get it first. And what is happening here in this response of, I'm going to get it first, right, is actually like, it's because I'm feeling there's not enough. That was unfair. It's now become a competition. I'm going to get my donut before anybody else gets theirs. I'm going to get my coffee before anybody else gets theirs. In fact, I'm going to have 2 donuts because I want 2 donuts, and that's what I feel I deserve today is 2 donuts. I'm going to get 2 donuts before anybody else gets theirs, right? We start to possibly even become greedy. You know what? Not only am I going to get those 2 donuts, I'm going to hide a dozen in the back room because they don't need donuts today. I'm going to hide donuts in the back for me for later so that other people don't get their donuts. Ooh, and I'm going to have to fight Jubel for those mochi donuts, right? Going to come to fisticuffs over the mochi donuts. So I got to hide them, keep them away. And what happens is then we start to otherize, right? We start to make people other. We start to see life as a competition because life is unfair. There's not enough to go around, so I got to get mine first. So now I'm in this competitiveness, and I'm making sure that I get mine before you get yours. I'm making sure that I hold some back for me, that I start to hoard, right? And what is the consciousness behind all of this? Not enough, right? It's a sense of lack. It's a sense of not enough. And not only is it a sense of not enough in the world, but it's a deeper sense of I am not enough. I am insufficient. I am unworthy. That's the real underlying belief behind this, is that I'm not enough. And so we are limited by what we can accept. Our outer life is a reflection of our inner worth. Let me say that again. Our outer life is a reflection of our inner worth. Another way of saying that is our self-worth and our net worth are directly proportional. I'm not just talking about finances here, because there's all kinds of abundance, is there not? There's abundance of life, there's abundance of time, there's an abundance of money, there's abundance of joy, there's an abundance of love, right? There's all kinds of abundance. So it's not just your net worth being your financial abundance, though that is part of it, but our self-worth and our net worth are directly proportional. Ernest Holmes in Living the Science of Mind, page 345, says, we can't experience more than we can accept, but we can expect more than we've been experiencing. Would you agree with that? We can't accept more, or we can't experience more than we can accept, but we can expect more than we've been experiencing. With me? All right. So last week we talked about being all in all, being in the wholeness and the integrity. We looked at accepting those parts of ourselves that we have disowned, correct? We looked at accepting those parts of ourselves that we've disowned, to reintegrate them, to accept them within ourselves, to forgive ourselves, right? And to return to a sense of wholeness. Because when we are out of integrity, integrity meaning wholeness, if we do not accept ourselves fully, wholly, and completely, because we are whole, perfect, and complete, if we don't accept ourselves as being whole, perfect, and complete, or wholly, completely, and perfectly, then we are out of integrity with ourselves. We are out of wholeness with ourselves, right? We are seeing something else as separate. So we are bringing ourselves out of our wholeness, out of our integrity. We are no longer perhaps even operating within our own values. We don't necessarily know what our values are, or we haven't clearly defined them. And so we're constantly crossing our boundaries. We're constantly looking for external validation of our worthiness. And when there's an external validation of our worthiness, when we're looking to people, or we're looking to situations, or we're looking to conditions, our self-worth, our worthiness ebbs and flows just like the tide. Ooh, I feel worthy today. Oh no, I feel cruddy. Ooh, I feel worthy today. Oh no, I feel terrible. Ooh, I feel worthy today, right? It's back and forth and back and forth, and you get whiplash, right, from all the back and forth. Or you can get pulled under by the riptide of it, right? So, the way we can shift our worthiness, the way we can begin to think about our worthiness is first we have to become aware. We have to become aware of how we are feeling on any given day. We have to become aware of our worthiness. But first and foremost, even before we become aware of our worthiness, something you need to know. You are inherently worthy. There is nothing you need to do, nothing you need to be, nowhere you need to go, no action you need to take to become worthy of love, to become worthy of your good. You, by the very fact that you are breathing in this moment, are worthy. You're worthy of it all. You're worthy of all the good possible. Sasha knows that. She's agreeing. Right? She's singing right along with us. Yes, she's confirming it. She just came from the other side of the veil. She's confirming it. Yes, Rev, Jeff, this is exactly what it is, right? Inherently worthy. Sasha's not worried about whether she's worthy or not. She's just sitting on her mom's lap and enjoying her time, singing and sucking on her fingers. Good fingers, taste good, right? She's inherently worthy, as is each one of us. So it can begin, so the way we can return to our worthiness, or way we can begin to think about this, is become aware of our worthiness, become aware of our inherent self-worth. And when we are aware, we can do what? We can make different choices, can we not? Yes, so we can make different choices. So one of the things to be aware of is your worthiness quotient. Your worthiness quotient consists of three things. One, how are you judging or punishing yourself? What is your self-judgment or self-punishment? How do you talk to yourself? What is the self-judgment, self-punishment? Do you do that a lot? And if so, how? Another one, how do you take care of yourself? What does your self-care practice look like? Do you really practice self-care? Or do you put others ahead of yourself and try and find self-value or self-worth that way? What is your self-care practice? Are you taking care of yourself? And then, do you take credit for your wins, your experiences? Do you take credit for your successes? How does that look for you? If you don't punish yourself very much, or you don't really have a lot of negative self-talk, if you are taking good care of yourself, and if you are patting yourself on the back, or you are accepting credit for your wins, you're accepting credit and you're loving your successes, then you have a really strong sense of self-worth. However, if one of those is not necessarily true, each one of those that is not necessarily true continues to diminish the self-worth. So the opportunity is to look at and be aware of how you are experiencing self-worth. Then, be mindful of what is in the race consciousness, what is in the collective unconsciousness, that sometimes we hear from other people like, oh, you're not worthy, you'll never be good enough, you'll never be a good singer, you'll never be a good musician, You'll never speak Spanish fluently. You'll never whatever, right? And so we hear all the socialization, and that's not really ourselves that are doing that. That's coming from outside. So ignore that, right? Pay attention to what that is. And then know what you value. If you don't know what you value, if you don't know where your values are, it's really hard to have that self-worth. It's really hard to know what is true for you. It is really hard to know where you are willing to cross your boundaries and what you're willing to do. It's hard to know how you are out of integrity. So knowing your self-worth, knowing what you is knowing what you value as well. All right? So, we live in an infinite universe, yes? We receive as much as we can accept. Would you agree? Yes. So if you come to the well of goodness with a thimble, how much goodness are you going to receive? A thimbleful. If you come to the well of goodness with a barrel, how much are you going to receive? A barrel. If you come to the well of goodness with an Olympic-sized swimming pool, how much are you going to receive? Olympic-sized swimming pool. And it all has to do with what you're willing to believe, what you're willing to know, what you're willing to conceive, and how much you feel worthy of the Olympic-sized swimming pool as opposed to the thimble. It's your self-worth that determines the size of your vessel. Good? All right. So now we're going to go to tables. Dun, dun, dun. And we're going to discuss. So what is your relationship with abundance? How do you experience abundance in your life? And then what do you believe is lacking in your life? Do you think something is lacking? Not necessarily finances. Could be time, could be any number of things. Suzanne, there's a table there. There's a table up here too. What do you believe is lacking? And what is one thing you could do to change it? What's one small step that you could do to change it? One small action that you could take to change from that lack perspective to one of more abundance. All righty? And the time begins now. All right, so this week, you ready for your action items? You're ready. All right. Action items for this week. So we're going to revisit two that we've shared before, but I think they're really good ones. I really love them. The first one is clear the clutter. Clear the clutter. Make room for your good. If your house is full of stuff, if your hands and if your fists are full of stuff, how in the world are you going to receive anything? You don't have any room to receive anything, right? So you got to open your hands. You got to open your heart. You got to open your mind. And maybe even open your home in terms of getting rid of clutter. So free your mind of the clutter, free your hands of the clutter, free your home of the clutter. Because the more you can clear the clutter, the more available there is to you. So speaking of clearing clutter, my beloveds, starting on March 17th, we are going to be clearing the stuff in our center that we are not planning to take with us. So you will have the opportunity that if there is something that we are ready to release and you just have an emotional, sentimental, or some other kind of attachment to it, or even a desire for it, we can start on March 17th. March 17th, we are going to go to the choir room after service. The choir room will be open, and you can go into the choir room, and anything that is in the choir room can be yours for a love offering, okay? And if you don't want it, that's fine, but also don't cry when it gets donated or when it gets recycled, shall we say, okay? All right? And so we're going to go through various areas of the center, releasing things weekly so that when we are ready to move into our new space, we're only taking what we absolutely want and what we absolutely need, that we're not taking a bunch of 70-year-old papers, okay? Or anything like that, right? Good? So we're calling this rooms to go, okay? Rooms to go. Room to go, okay? All right, so that is one thing. Second thing, for the action item this month, unexpected income. We've done this before, and it's really fun to see where your abundance is, because abundance, good, comes from known and unknown places, and we often don't think about it. So out in the lobby, right behind the welcome desk, there on the slat wall, where all the practitioners' photos are, there's some buckets underneath that, and in one of those buckets, there is the sheet for unexpected income that you can take home, and then you can just record for a month, the entire month of March, because we're kind of springing forward, right? We're opening up to new things. It's springing. So look at your unexpected income, right? What do I mean by unexpected income? All of a sudden, you got a rebate on your taxes, or you got a tax refund, or you got a rebate because you bought a new washer or something. You got a rebate that way. Or, somebody took you out to lunch. Dinah and Stu took me out to lunch the other day. Thank you, Dinah and Stu. The amount that they, paid that I didn't have to pay for lunch, guess what? That's unexpected income. I get to write that down, right? If you clip a coupon, or you save 5% here, or 10% there, whatever, go ahead and write it down, because what you're seeing, remember, the more what we focus on expands, right? What we put our attention and intention to expands. So when you are looking for abundance, guess what you are going to find? You're going to find abundance, all right? So that's the second one. So those are the two that we're revisiting. Then the one for today that I wanted to share with you is that question number 3 that you had there today. Identify an area in your life where you are experiencing what you would term some sort of lack, where you're wanting something and you don't have it yet, right? Then that could just be that simple as that. There's something that you want that you don't have yet, okay? Think of lack in terms of that. There's something that you want that you don't have yet. What is one thing you could do to move yourself into having that thing, or having that item, having that desire? Just one small step. So for example, the other day, on Friday, I was looking at our finances. I was looking at my finances, and I happened to be just looking at our interest rates in terms of our savings. And I was paying attention to it. I'm like, that's a really small interest rate on our savings. I wonder if there's other interest rates out there that, like a higher yield savings account maybe out there. And so I just went ahead and I just was like perusing for about an hour, just kind of surfing and seeing. Guess what? There was a high yield interest account. So now, acting on it right then in that moment, well, first Ed had lunch. I said, honey, I think we need to move our money. He's like, okay. And then it's like, so then acting in that moment, I moved it from our credit union with its paltry little T90 stupid 0.1% to Synchrony that has 4.75. I know. And then I looked at it as like, okay, in 3 years, and if we add this amount of money, per month, what would it be? And I was like, ooh, it will double our savings in 3 years if we do this. I'm just like, hello. All right. Right? Huh? We went to Synchrony, yeah. And so I was just like, wow, check this out, right? So again, I felt that there was something lacking. It wasn't like, ooh, lack, right? I was like, I'm not so keen on this particular interest rate. And so I was like, all right, so let me take an action. I took an action, and I moved, and then I was like, oh, okay. So it wasn't earth-shattering, right? It wasn't soul-wrenching, gut-tearing. It doesn't have to be all that. But it is taking one small action that is going to benefit us forever, in the near future, and then, beyond, right? So just one small action. That's all your homework is. It's easy, right? Right? Yes? Homework is easy? All right. So, here we go. I invite you to take a nice deep breath and let it out. All right, so I invite our practitioners to please stand and surround the sanctuary, and I invite our core council members to join them. And so I'm knowing right here and right now that there is one infinite and eternal that is forever expressing itself, forever giving itself. It is the self-givingness of spirit itself that Ernest Holmes calls love, unconditional love. And it is this love that is inexhaustible. It is infinite. And it is all that there is. There is no separation. There is no other than love itself. For it cannot be. There simply is just this one. And it is this love that is forever expressing itself in, through, and as me, in, through, and as my life, abundantly, joyously, harmoniously, in full and complete wholeness and total perfection. And this love expresses itself in, through, and as all of life, all of creation, everyone gathered here this day. It is forever, ever expanding. It is forever and ever knowing itself in a glorious multitude, magnificent ways. And so I recognize here and now that this community, I speak my word for this beloved community, that we are truly and richly blessed, that we are deeply blessed, that we seek the kingdom, the oneness, the alignment with the one, and in so doing, as we align ourselves, which we are doing right here, right now, in this very moment, as we align ourselves with the one, with the harmony, with the love, with the joy, with the abundance, all things are added unto us. For it is already given. We simply open our hearts, open our minds, open our eyes, and we receive. We receive our good because it is all good. We increase the size of our vessels. We increase the size of our vehicles. We let any limitation, any ideas of lack, any idea of separation simply fall back into the nothingness from which it arose. And we say yes to life. We say yes to spirit. We say yes to our good. We claim it here and now. And I give thanks for it. I give thanks for this truth. I give thanks for this unfoldment. I give thanks for its glorious expression through each one of us and as our community. And so I release this word, knowing it is already done, knowing it is already fulfilled. Knock and the door shall be opened. Ask and it is given, and so it is. Damn.
And so it is. All right. Now, our affirmation for this week is on the screen. Let's say it together with vigor.
You to stand and let's say it together.
Let's stand. Say it together. Let's begin. I have plenty to spare and plenty to share.